go there. That's what everyone was talking about. What the hell from both sides? What the hell?
Well, interestingly enough, Dave Rennie afterwards said, we trained a drop kick. James O'Connor was in the pocket. And they go, would have you liked it? He goes, yes, I would have loved it. He himself said they'd prepared for it. Whereas Ian Foster said, they hadn't, it's something they'd normally trained, but they hadn't. And I think that probably showed, did it not? Like, because you do need to know what's going on. And it was wet weather. You just sort of they'd gone 90 metres right at the line. And I think if you look back, even Sam Kane standing by the rucks there, he's standing right by the far post and he's pointing like that. And they scooped and then the knock on. And you can see him, he's going, get it back there and drop it. He looked like he knew what needed to happen in the wet conditions, because you're always chancing your arm.
I can imagine, it was talked about, because I think I saw Richie actually ended up getting into the pocket, and they actually went through that kind of process to being able to set it up. It's just unfortunate as well that I don't know, I can't remember who did the part, whether it was Hoskins or someone that did the part. It was Hoskins, unfortunately. If that pass is given, like a really good pass to that, I don't know who was on his outside who gave it to Geordie, there's an overlap and we score a try. We're probably not having this.
But did we not have this conversation with Wellington last time in South Africa?
Correct. But that's the thing. You want to back what the picture is, correct? The low percentage play is to set up the drop goal, and mate, I 100% agree the drop goal should have been taken. But if you want to talk around attacking as well, mate, that pass, if that's given, it's a try. So it's that kind of percentage play. It's like, do you really want to go there? It's on, because you want to back instincts as well. You back the All Blacks as well.
But see, to me, the higher percentage play was the drop goal.
Yeah.
Yep. That to me is the higher percentage play.
A play where there is no defender that can mark you. It's that simple. The guy can't be near him for 20 metres. He can go back as far as the 22 and he's completely free. It seems insane.
Yeah. I was as frustrated last time we spoke about it with the test against South Africa in Wellington. It's no different for me here. Just take the 3 points and win the test.
Yeah.
And even if he misses, I'd rather him go for a drop goal and miss than keep doing these, what I think are 50-50 plays. Yeah, Hoskins, if it was a halfback, but it wasn't. He could see that it was Hoskins at halfback. Robbie.
Okay, so there's two words.
Bring Gatlin. Yeah, bring Gatlin.
2 words.
Drop back in the pocket. Yeah, man, that could win. Mate, that's all he was talking about at training today.
He would have done.
Talking about.
He would have done it 4 phases earlier.
Yeah.
He lives for those moments.
Oh, he would have, man. Yeah.
There's a couple of things you guys have mentioned which kind of come to mind here. One with the drop goal and having the person with the presence of mind to want to take it. And 2, you mentioned earlier about playing too much with the ball. Now, to me, the best player in the country at calling both of those things is Beauden Barrett.
Yeah.
Beauden Barrett's an exceptional player of knowing when to play with or without the ball, right? We missed him. It's pure and simple. He's got to be on the field at 10 or 15. He is so important to this side, especially when you look at the back 3 being relatively inexperienced.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll be interested, is the door slightly ajar for him to get a crack at 10 now? Do you know what I mean? That's and I'm not going to put you in that position, Bryn, because it's too hard. But I think he's got to be, just watching the last 4 games when he moved to 10 for the Blues, it just changed. Honestly, the Highlanders game when he was at 10, it just looked like he was going to create something every time he touched the ball. And he's experienced. He's had big press moments. He's been world player 2 times. Let's give him the general. Put him in the general seat. Run it. Let you run the cutter, big fella. You're that good. Give him a crack. I just think he deserves a crack at 10. Like, he's proven to play really well at 10. People seem to have forgotten that. And it's like Geordie's played extremely well at fullback all year. Let's just give it a crack. I don't know. He's probably going to be at 15. So I was just going to say, I think I'm wasting my time, but I just think I love him at 10. I love him in that first receiver, and just defensively, it slows your defense. It's like an attacking kicking game. When there's rush defense, you put it in behind it. It's going to make people think. Well, when he's there, you rush him, you're going to create a hole, and he's good enough to get it away. If you stay off him, he's going to come flat and put someone. It makes you think so much more. And I'm not saying Richie doesn't have that Billy, Richie's the best. He's the best first five at sitting behind a forward pod and splitting that gate between two defenders when there's the three forwards and the short ball runner and the forward pops it out the back to Richie. There's no one better in the game than that play than Richie. So he's got strengths to his game as well. I'm not saying anything about him. I'm just saying like Bodie, I'd love to see him in 10. He's not going to be in 10, but it doesn't.
It's going to be, it is going to be interesting then because there obviously be talks around this during the whole week whether who should be at 10 or who should be at 15. It'll be interesting if they do go with that pivot role, and then just with what you were talking around with Rich, if he's selected at 10 and having those pods around, having the three forwards and then that out the back kind of play that most teams do play.
They don't seem to do it anymore, the All Blacks. They
run
those two.
They run the two lines, and so
and that's its biggest strength.
Yeah, so it's interesting because that was the kind of format that they had at the World Cup with the two runners. And the thing with around that is that if you can check having the two runners, that checks the heart defense, which is great. But then, like you said, Jip, the play isn't around that position we were talking around because those two guys are just getting flushed in behind, and they're actually just not sitting them down at the moment. And that, like you said, coming back to Rich's running game.
Defensively, do you have to stop on them defensively? You don't really.
Well, it's unless you play them early in the game to check your defense, and you play them early, and it's like sweet and behind. Oh, we've actually got to hold off and we've got to check them. Otherwise, I think as you know, Jip, if those two runners aren't in sync and running well at that specific timing off a 9, then you just discount them, and then you can end up bringing line speed outside that. So. It must be a plan that the All Blacks are playing because they've tried it at the World Cup, and they're obviously trying a little bit in the first test match.
Did you also see, to me, and I was having this chat on the couch, is it looks like, and I may be wrong, but just from what I saw yesterday, when they run hard and fast down lines, it always goes out the back, and then when they play them, they're flat-footed. They hit that wide guy and he's flat-footed, and then does some. I think if they're going to do it, they've just got to consistently run that same thing. And then, so then defensively, you don't know when they're getting a knot because it just looks like they push off them straight away and it just gives them extra numbers.
It happened a couple of times as well, is that if that next ruck off that out wider, if that pass goes in behind, then the unfortunate thing around is they were actually playing half of the field. There were a lot of times where we actually couldn't get to the edge. And so we ended up coming back on the short side quite a lot because we played half of the field. So I know it's the first game, and they'll obviously they'll probably get better with it through the duration of the Bledisloe series and the Rugby Championship. But it's interesting to see how if they'll continue to keep going to that, and how we can try and manipulate that heart defense a little bit better because we're just not getting the gains with those two guys running off our 9s at the moment.